Board Member Gustavo Macru,
Present.
Secretary Maria Sabori, Vice Chairman Emma Torres,
Present.
Chairman Gerardo Sanchez.
Present.
Chairman Sanchez, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and go with the consent agenda. Minutes of regular meeting held on May 5th, 2021. I will entertain a motion to approve minutes in consent agenda. Do I hear a second?
Second.
There is a motion. There is a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All those against? Motion carries. We're going to go with discussion and possible action items. Item number 3A. Discussion and possible action on all matters regarding the purchase and name change of a third-party administrator, EBSO and Company, to 90 Degrees Benefit and Company, and an adoption of service agreement with 90 Degree Benefits and Company, and benefits plan for the fiscal year starting July 1st, 2021. And is it Rob?
Yes.
You're present? Okay. So you're changing your name from
Yes.
EBSO to, what is it, 90 Degrees Benefits?
90 Degree Benefits, yes. So that is, EBSO became part of the 90 Degree Benefits family in 2018. We haven't changed our name until now because to change a brand for a company that large takes time. And so everything's really remained the same and will continue to remain the same as far as day-to-day processes. But our brand is now 90 Degrees Benefits as opposed to EBSO. But as far as everything you guys know internally and how you operate on a day-to-day basis, that remains the same and will continue to remain the same going forward.
Okay, perfect.
The advantage of becoming a part of 90 Degree Benefits is to be able to have more resources behind us, to be able to provide more for our clients. And some of the things that maybe you guys have realized is the e-surgeries benefit, being able to have better lab contracts, and PBM pricing are some of the things that are kind of get passed on to our clients from an immediate effect. And that's all been capable because we're a part of the 90 Degree family now.
Okay, good. Thank you, Rob. Is there any questions from board members regarding the switch of name? The benefits don't change, it's just the name that's changing.
No question.
No, but I'm glad that you asked because I thought maybe we were changing companies, but I'm glad that it's the same company just changing the name. Thank you.
Perfect. Let's see here, Gustavo?
Yeah, no question.
Okay. Perfect. If not, I will now entertain a motion. Let's see here. It's 6? You have 6? Okay. So can I read all of them and approve them with one single? Okay, I'm going to go, there are 6 motions. I'm going to go ahead and read each of them, and I'm going to ask for a second, and then we're going to vote on it. Recommendation suggestions motion. 1, I move to approve the administration service agreements for the third-party benefit service with 90 Degree Benefits and Company. 2, I move to approve the authorization and guarantee agreement for Automated Clearinghouse Authority so that 90 Degree Benefits and Company may process debt and credit card payments. I move to approve the U.S. medical plan with 90 Degree Benefits and Company as a third-party administrator. I move to approve the U.S. dental plan with 90 Degree Benefits and Company as a third-party administrator. I move to approve the Mexico-only medical plan with 90 Degree Benefits as a third-party administrator. I move to approve the Mexico-only dental plan with 90 Degree Benefits as a third-party administrator. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion on the floor. There is a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those against? Motion carries. We're going to go item number 3B, discussion and possible action in all matters regarding quarterly review of benefits plan. Susan Posada, broker.
Thank you. Can we put the PowerPoint up?
We can.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you.
I was told I could just drag it over.
And if not, I can report on the latest one, which is not in that PowerPoint, which is fine. Okay. Go to the second page, please. Thank you. So for April, the report for the dashboard reflects that we made $65,000 over the amount of contributions for the 9 months. This includes $111,000 from Symetra, so technically, we've lost the difference between those two. Our large claims continue to be high. As of right now, as of May, I'm just going to forget that slide. I'm going to read what just came in, if you would allow me to. For the 11 months ending May 31st, the claims are 43% higher than last year. We are in the negative about $57,000, and that's after $113,000 that we received from Symetra from the stop loss. Without that reimbursement, we would be in the red $171,000. So the worst part is that we've lost about $171,000 for the 11 months, okay? It's $171,000. We haven't received the month of June yet, which we expect probably a little bit more than that. But here's the bad part. The stop-loss claims through May are $850,000, which is 32% of the estimated claims of $2.6 million. And there's about 25 claims. Most of those, some of those are COVID-related. There are some that are holdover, what I call holdover from COVID, meaning mental health related, in my opinion. There are some that are not related. There's an accident. There is 3 childbirths. One of them is very significant. The child is still in the hospital. So we're going to have some really large claims by the end of June. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's going to be pretty bad. But the negative to our bottom line is not going to be as bad as it may seem. And part of that has to do with the fact that we have the stop loss of $50,000. In addition to that, I've asked Rob to look into, and he'll be looking into it a little bit more. I don't know if he's prepared tonight to look into the aggregate, because I remember I mentioned to you guys that there's a couple of aspects to the stop loss. One is what is paid after the $50,000, and one is what we call the aggregate, meaning all of the claims. So there could be additional monies that are coming in from the stop loss because our claims are so high. We don't know that, and we won't know that until after the end of June 30th. So we're going to hold our breath until then, and to see what's happening, but the claims just keep rolling in. We knew that this was going to be a bad year. I've said it from the very beginning, and it's just a bad year. It's one of those that we have once every 8 years, and that is not something that we could have controlled. Some of it is COVID, but a lot of it is not. So it's difficult to say what's going to really, be the final. The only thing that I can say is that we're positioned for it. We are in a very, very good position. Even if we take a $300,000 loss, we're in a really good position for that. Rob, do you have any feedback on that?
Yeah, years like this is exactly why you have insurance, because each individual person is capped at your 50K spec level. So even if, and you know, with COVID claimants can run very, very high in hospital systems, as well as, you know, premature babies are also some of the highest claimants that a plan can receive. And so that, you know, that's your insurance that you purchased, it's working for you because, you know, you're capped at that 50,000 per individual. And then at the end of the year, we'll total up the aggregate amount. And if we've gone over what the aggregate deductible is for, you know, the entire group, not just the individual person, there might be some reimbursement after that. Hitting an aggregate deductible is a lot more rare than a specific deductible, which is the $50,000 amount. But again, that's why you know, companies purchase this insurance, these protections to have in place for years like this and events like we've occurred this year. But like Susan said, the plan is very healthy. The trust is very healthy. And so it's prepared to weather an event like this or a year like this. So, you know, while it's not ideal to ever hear about it, the fact that you guys are in such a good position should put everyone at ease.
Thank you, Rob. Any questions about that?
This is Mayor Sanchez. We knew this was going to happen, but there's actually no way to know that for us, COVID probably was going to be our highest, but it appears it's there, but it's not. It's the other claims that are really significant, and that's what happens when you have over 200 employees. I mean, you cannot predict, and like you said, I think we're in a position where we can absorb this negative, but we always worry about what's going to happen the following year, and so it's unpredictable. But like you said, we're in a good position, and it's going to happen. It's happened over the years. We have big claims, and I wish everyone stayed home and not have any babies. And no, just kidding. But that's going to be a hard one. That's going to be a hard one. It happens, and the thing is, if there's complications, we want to make sure that baby is fine. We want to make sure that the family is covered, and we protect our employees.
We have one situation where the child had an eye accident, airlifted, and pretty serious eye injury. And we are just happy. I'm not concerned about the claims. I'm just concerned that the child is doing fine.
Good. That's the most important part.
And that we have the ability to do this.
That is the benefit. That is the why we have this. That's why we have the benefits, and we oversee that. So our employees are protected for events like this. And it's really unfortunate, and I hope the child does not lose his eye, his or her eye.
Yep.
But accidents do happen, but they are protected. And I thank the board, and I thank our benefits, because they are probably the better benefits in Yuma County and probably the state.
And, you know, it's been 9 years of preparation, but one of the things that I didn't mention last time is that the last several years, we did not increase the amount of contributions that the city was making. We didn't increase those. As a matter of fact, last year, we decreased it. So that helps the city's budget, but that also meant that less money went into the trust. Even with that, with those 3 years that we didn't increase it, and when we decreased it, we're still in a very good position, which means that I really appreciate that all of the trustees, have taken my recommendations, and I appreciate that. But it's been a lot of planning from the city manager and from HR. to bring all of those recommendations to you. So thank you.
Oh, good. Any questions from our members or concerns?
Just a comment. I think as we're being discussed, I think every precaution that can be taken has been considered throughout these past years. And I think we knew that we were fairly fortunate not to have incidents and to actually have increased our fund to be able to be healthy as we're discussing right now. Even when there is a bad year, we're still, holding strong. And I think that's as much as an administrator can do. And so, no, I understand. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
I concur with Emma. Yeah, I think you've done a great job, and thank you for that.
And if I could say one thing, just to add in, is that the diligence and to be able to continue to keep that trust healthy, that goes a long way, because it would have been, it's very tempting each year to look at the amount that's in that trust and say, well, we could not contribute anything this year as a city, and think of all that premium we would save if we just pull all of our contributions out of the trust. And, that could last maybe 1 or 2 years, and then that trust would be dried up. So to have the diligence and the recommendations from Susan to continue to keep that trust healthy over 9 years should be, commended, because, another agent might try to make themselves look better by pulling all the money out of the trust, but then it looks like the city got a 20% decrease in this year because they're just pulling the premium from the trust that year. So it was managed very well.
Well, and thank you for that compliment. I really appreciate that. Along those lines, many brokers will increase the contributions, or what we call the premiums, because that's how they get paid. They get a percentage of that. And the last several years, 4 or 5 years actually, we have not increased premiums to the city. And so actually last year we dropped them, and this year we didn't increase it even from that drop. So what that means is another broker could have increased it to make more money as a commission. I choose not to think that way. So just as you see how we think, it's to keep this healthy. My objective in doing this is, first I have to take care of, it's a game that we have to play. It's taking care of the city, taking care of the trust, and also taking care of the employee. And the way to do that is to balance all of them. And if you have the right money, you can do all of them. And so that's why we have planned properly. But sometimes the cheapest is not always the best. We've seen that with our third parties administrators. We've seen it with some of the things that we've purchased, such as Healthiest You, EAP, with some of our wellness programs. But given that I say that, I think it's very, very important that we continue to be diligent in this process, because the trust is for the employees.
Well said. Thank you, Susan. And what motion do we need to do here, Kay?
None. That's just a reporting thing.
That's just a report?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just a report. There's a blank motion there in case something comes up that you'd like to take action, but it's not required.
There's no need to take action on this one. So board members, there is no need to take action on this one. This is more like information. And I'm curious about the claims for next month. And let's hope we can maintain them either at this level or but the key thing is we need to protect our employees and protect the trust also. Thank you, Susan. We're going to go ahead and go with item number 3C, discussion and possible action on all matters regarding broker agreement renewal. We have Kay.
Oh. Good evening, trustees. This is Kay McQuill, the city attorney. I'll turn this over to Susan after I just present what we're doing. I have three options because of the way this item developed. I'm going to start from option 3. Option 3 is what's in place now. It's automatic renewal for 2 years, but it can be terminated with a 60-day notice. If this is the option that's chosen, it would automatically renew because we haven't given the 60-day notice on that one. And I think this was just an oversight because Susan did come in with an amendment, and I think we just I didn't catch it. I just kind of trusted Susan that we needed to renew and it was expiring. I had forgotten this 2019 provision. And so Susan's option of just a straight 3-year extension was brought in March. So that's another option on the table. And then we met on May 5th, and staff was directed to come up with option 1. And I will just read it out loud because it's just easier. So 3B is the operative change. On or before June 30th, 2023, the client is the trustees, may give written notice to the broker of its intent to put out the agreement for a request for qualifications and proposals, or take such other action in its fiduciary responsibility. I'm going to take a breath there because qualifications is different from requests for proposals in that you can just go out for qualifications and just see what kind of expertise is out there and then negotiate the price. So that's what qualifications does.
That's option number 3. You're reading from option number 3.
B, yes.
And that qualifications entitles the client to go out.
To go out and ask what is your expertise for a Mexico plan, a dental plan, a U.S. plan, all the things all the complexity of our contracts. What is your expertise in handling a trust fund? What's your expertise in a self-insured? And just to find out if there is any expertise in this area.
Okay, and the time frame for that one? Any time?
So we would give Susan, she could also put in her bid, and that would go out after you're given the notice on June 30th or before June 30th, 2023. Then, let me just read it. The selected broker firm would commence creating a benefits plan for the July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025 fiscal year on October 1st, 2023. We thought that we would need a transition time. So if we went out to bid, we'd have to select by October so that if a new firm was selected, there would be time to
Transition.
a transition. If the selected broker firm is not the current broker, then a transition, the current broker, shall continue all aspects of this agreement, including working with the selected broker in creating a benefits plan to the extent that proprietary property is protected and not infringed. So brokers do have intellectual proprietary properties, and so Susan wouldn't have to share hers, and if there were a new firm, they wouldn't have to share theirs. The client will compensate the current broker, Susan, through June 30th, 2024, according to sections 4 and 5 below. So her compensation, she didn't, in her option back in March, she didn't raise it, so the compensation in all three agreements is the same.
5%
Yes,
in all three agreements?
yes.
Okay.
No, not 5%, it's 3%.
But it's 3.1% right now.
And so it comes out to $35 per employee per, what's the PM? Per month.
Okay.
And then I believe, if you don't have any more questions about the content of the three options, I can stay here for that, but then Susan would like to make
Okay,
a presentation as
Okay,
well.
let's go over the options first, and then
Okay.
Susan can, okay, so option 1, renew broker agreement for 3 years with the option of going out to bid with 1 year's notice in 2023.
Mhm,
Option 2, renew broker's agreement for a flat 3 years
mhm.
for the current amendment signed in June 12, 2019.
Right.
Okay.
Nothing else?
Members, do you have any questions, concerns? Why, I mean, I thought, well, I have a concern.
Okay.
These 3 options came out because of what?
Well,
Mm-hmm.
the current option, I think, was just an oversight, because I think, like Susan said, she's not focused on her compensation. Her focus is on, all the things that go on in March to get all the contracts done, and she just did what she's usually done and given us a 3-year option, forgetting that back in 2019, we changed it to a 2-year automatic with a 60-day notice.
Mhm.
So that created 2 options. And then on May 5th, the trustees wanted to have an opening to go out to bid as a proposal to the whole group. And so that's why the third one came in.
Okay, so you came up with 3 options based on that.
Right. Just sort of a muddle.
I have a question.
Please, Maria.
So on option number 3, you're saying that came about because of when we met on May 5th?
Correct.
Is that what you're saying? Kate?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Any more questions from, I'm a little confused. I really am, because you gave us 3 options here. And I'm like, I thought this was, that you were gonna work on a contract and we were gonna do a 2-year with the option to go out and bid.
Yes, so that's option 3, and Susan, I did negotiate with Susan, and she told me today that, and she also said in email that she was fine with option 3.
Okay. Because I believe that was the agreement. Am I understanding right, Chairman? Members?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I thought option 3 was what, it was already set up, that it was something that in
Yeah.
March came about, or maybe that's what I understood.
Yeah, that was my impression. Then I see the three
Okay.
options, and it only complicates things more. It doesn't make it much easier.
I know.
In
I
total agreement.
apologize for all the complication.
I really think that either one of the three is still very similar in that we're agreeing to continue contracting with Susan, just, some establish a flat, 3-year, another one this, but I really, with that level of relationship and trust that there is, that had been established, like I said, I really see the three of them being very similar. But again, if 3 is what we had agreed to, I don't even remember yesterday. So we had agreed, like I said, I'm fine with either one. But again, the most important thing here is that there is this trusting relationship between the contractor and us, so I don't think that's going to change in the next few years. If anything, might get strengthened. But yeah, so.
I apologize, board members. Option 1 on the agenda is actually the one that is the proposal that came out of the May 5th E-session.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes more sense.
option 1, yes.
Option 1 was the one that came out from that proposal.
Okay.
That was my understanding.
Yeah, it makes more sense.
Yeah, I was thinking in my head, this is the third one, but it's actually option 1 on the agenda.
Yeah, same here. So Susan, did you, I thought option 1 was the one we discussed and we agreed upon.
Mhm.
There's, first of all, trustees, I want to thank you for the opportunity all these years to serve you. That's always been my passion. So thank you for that. And if you should approve one of these agreements, I want to thank you for that in addition to that. I did say to Kay that option 3, which is option 1, that I was okay with that. I don't have an issue with that. I also feel that there's bigger issues here, that I'm a person of very high integrity, very high honesty, very passionate about what I do. And I think sometimes it's my fault that I don't show the work that I do. So part of that is my fault that doesn't show that value. And I know the value that I bring, and I know what I do. But regardless of what happens after the 3rd year, I will not bid again. I don't feel that I'm valued. I've done a tremendous amount for the city all these years. My heart, my soul has been in it. It never has stopped. And if I'm not valued, I don't need to be here anymore. But I have a commitment for you. And here's my commitment. My commitment is, in the next 3 years, I will do the same that I've always done. And I do that not only for you, I do it for me, because that's the kind of person that I am. But for me, bringing value and bringing pleasure and showing that I can do a good job is more important than the money. As you can see, the last several years, I did not increase the contributions. because it was the right thing to do. And brokers make money by increasing the contributions because that's a percentage of their commissions. That's how they're going to make the money. I didn't do that. I don't think that way. I don't have a criminal mind to think like that. So I just do what I believe is the right thing. But the commitment I make to you is that I will continue to do the right thing. However, this is how it works. On the third year, or the beginning of the third year, the renewals begin late January, February. And what I did this year, for instance, without you renewing my contract, I took it on trust that you would renew my contract. So I did all the work for this coming year, all of it. It's almost done. Now, yeah, throughout the months, I do more. You know, I get calls, I'll help with this or that. But the majority of the work has already been done for this coming year and paid for and done everything that needs to be done. But that last year, once you choose a broker, beginning February, that particular incumbent broker must do the work for the following year. And I'm happy to help and assist, but I've already done the work for that year, so I cannot do the work for the coming year. And that particular broker does not need to be paid until January 1st. That's how I work. When I get a new client, I do not charge them until the new renewal begins. So when you begin to look at a broker, you begin to look at the things they bring to the table, such as, do they give you a website? Do they give you this? Do they give you this? What else do they provide for you, for your HR? Okay, those are things that you can quantify. The two things that you are unable to quantify are the 9 years of honesty and integrity that I have brought to the table, and the passion and the love I brought to all of you and your employees and your dependents. That are two things you're not going to be able to measure. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Any comments from board members?
I would like to comment. I'm really sorry to hear Susan's, sentiment about how she feels distrusted. And I really think that from my part, I don't think that that is the case. I think one of the, if anything, an added value of what this 9 years of working together has brought is that I understand what a trust is. I understand how it works. I feel that I've been able to really be a good fiduciary agent and on behalf of the people that have, that we represent. And the questions that we, as business people, we ask all the time because we are trained to ask, and anything that is not clear to us, we have to request that, but with no intention of, showing distrust. And I'm sorry, Susan, that you feel that way, because like I said, if anything, now I have learned to even appreciate more your work because I understand it. Before I didn't understand much of it, but I have learned through the years, and the questions that I ask are really to clarify in my mind and understand, and making sure that I'm also, I take pride on what I do, and especially, as a representative of the community, in making sure that I'm doing the best that I can. And I hear you on that end, and like I said, I am sorry that you have taken it, in reference to feeling mistrusted, but that's not the case for me. The contrary, I think I have learned to appreciate you even more throughout these years.
I just want to say thank you, Emma. I really appreciate that. I just want to comment on Susan. When you came on board, we were in a situation where our money was at a very high risk of being lost. You came in with the ideas, you came in showing us, because we didn't know better. We did not know better, because we were working with other brokers, supposedly professionals. But yet, our money was so vulnerable. It was basically in someone else's account. The city didn't know better. We didn't know about the benefits. We didn't know that we were paying or overpricing, or we didn't know about the overcharging of the current Mexican family we had it. There was a lot of things occurring in the city that we were not knowledgeable, because we didn't have that person, that caring person that actually made a difference. You helped us, you guided through the whole process, you guided our attorneys. I mean, we expect a lot from our attorneys, but they're not bankers. They don't deal with money. They deal with the legalities of it. But was it legal that our previous third-party administrator had the money in their bank account? That was a big question. That was a big concern. Over the years, my biggest concern was benefits for our employees. My biggest concern were the premiums. As a parent with children, my biggest concern that I was seeing every year my premiums go up, go up, go up. And my big question, when is it going to stop? Finally, when I became chairman, when I became a board member, we were able to control the contributions. We were able to control the charges that we charge our employees and the benefits. We've been blessed. We've been very fortunate. We have a healthy account. We are able to offer benefits that other employees can offer their employees. And plus, their premiums haven't gone up. If anything, they went down. I truly apologize if you feel mistrusted, not valued. Let me tell you something. This is on a personal note. When I was in the hospital on day 15th, when I was giving up, the person I thought about was Susan. And you're the one I called when I wanted to be transferred to Mayo Clinic. You answered that phone call in a heartbeat. There was a person next to me talking about the transfer in 45 minutes. I'm sorry, but no other broker does that. So do I take it personal? Yes, I do. Because I value your work, and I know what you do. And it's difficult, and I'm sorry that you feel that way. What we do is for the benefits of the employee. What we do is we mend and we cherish those relationships that help us do that. And you've been a partner, Susan, and I really appreciate that. You've been a very good partner. You've been a very good friend for the city of San Luis. We're having issues with HR. We don't have the personnel for HR. But we still offer the best benefits. If an employee has a problem, things get fixed, even though they're overwhelmed, they're overworked, and very few people want to work because of the stress, because of the overwhelming stress in the work. It's one of those situations. We're going through hard times. I said this. We're going to go through very hard times. And we're going through hard times. But one thing I don't want to ruin is our relationship. You've been a very good broker, an excellent broker. You've shown us year after year. We see the budgets, we see the numbers. And I really appreciate for your hard work. And I really value it. And I've always done that. Thank you, Susan. Anyone else from the members?
Well, I just want to say that that was not the intention when I questioned the contract or, that what I didn't understand. That wasn't the point. And I'm sorry you feel that way, Susan, but that was not my intention. And I value you, and I appreciate all that you have done. Because like you mentioned in one of the meetings, in reality, I got the monies from that third-party administrator, that, not me, but the bank. Sorry, let me clarify. But yeah, it was because of you, and I did appreciate, you coming to us, to First Bank Yuma, and those accounts were open. And, but that was not the intention. And I am a banker, and I do go through very audits, and it's not that I was auditing your contract. I was just asking the questions that I didn't understand, and now I do.
This is Susan. Forgive me. I do have Rob on the phone. Rob, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Rob, can you speak to what I make, please?
Yeah. So Susan currently makes $35 ppm, which is about like the 3%. And if the question of this broker bid is on cost, Susan is priced very competitively in the marketplace compared to, for what she's doing. And if you guys went out to bid for another broker, you would get brokers that would come in cheaper, but you're not going to get a broker that's going to visit the city as often as Susan does and provides the level of detail that she does. For one, we work with a ton of brokers in Arizona and all over the country. It's more particular to Arizona, but no other broker that I work with knows how to run a U.S.-Mexico plan in conjunction with Blue Cross Blue Shield plan of Arizona. So just those nuances, those intricacies right there, I don't even know how to put a price on that because I don't know anyone else that does that. And broker fees have been going up significantly over the years to where Susan's actually, and I'm not kidding when I say this, Susan's actually now underpriced compared to the average broker fee in the marketplace. When we started, when you guys, chose us as the TPA 3 years ago, Susan's fee was middle of the road, and she has not changed her fee significantly at all. And now her fee is actually on the low end of what agents are getting paid in the marketplace. So we're just the TPA, but if my recommendation holds any weight, I would keep Susan as an agent as long as she would be willing to, because when you guys bring on a new agent, which eventually will happen at some point, you guys will be teaching that agent how to run the plan because there's so many nuances. And Susan will be there for the transition, but there's a lot of intricacies to your plan. And without making huge changes, maybe something that you don't want to do, if you want to keep the plan as it is running, pretty smoothly, that's a huge knowledge base. And so there's going to be a big learning curve for whatever new agent does come in. So yeah, Susan's a huge asset that I don't think should go unnoticed at all. But from what I've heard, it sounds like she's proven that over the 9 years.
Thank you, Rob. As far as the trustees are concerned, I did not want to make anyone feel uncomfortable, and that was not my intention. I wanted to tell you how I have felt for the last 9 years. I am reminded constantly of how much I make, and I make too much money for what I do. But my experience itself speaks for itself. And forgive me for saying this. No, I'm not going to say it. Yeah.
You don't need to say.
I'm reminded constantly of how much I make and that I make too much money. And you guys, as the trustees, do not hear that. But I'm constantly reminded on the political side here of of how much I make, so therefore my value is not there. So you don't see that side. I see that side, and I feel that side. So I want to thank you for that, and I really don't need any apologies. I just want you to understand how I feel. I have kept this for 9 years, and it's now time for me to speak up and tell you how I feel and what my value is. So thank you for listening to me. I appreciate that very much.
Thank you, Susan.
Okay.
Glenn?
So,
talking-
go ahead.
I'm sorry. This is Glenn Gimbut. In talking to Kay about the current contract with Susan, I changed a couple of words to give options and flexibility to the trustees. I understand from Kay that one of the concerns is that folks want to know they've done their fiduciary duty to the trust, that they have done their due diligence. There are more ways to do that than an RFP. And so I put in there flexibility to choose your path in the future of what you want to do and how you want to go about it. But it's not necessarily a request for bids. For example, you can call around to see if there's anybody else in the state who does what Susan does the way she does it. And if you can't find them, you've done your due diligence and you don't have to do an RFP. And so I'm suggesting that you might want to think about alternative routes and to have that flexibility and not be married to one particular method to do your due diligence. Thank you.
Glenn, before you leave, for clarification, you're talking about options or that option, which I like that option, the ability to do that. And so because we need to feel, as chair members, we need to feel that we're doing our duty.
Correct.
And the thing is, which option are you referring to? Are you referring to option
Well,
number
again,
one or number?
you have in your contract that
Option 1.
that in the
Option
future,
one.
that there's going to be a RFP, and I changed that to be that you will choose. It'll be an RFP, or you can choose another path. So you're not married to one particular solution.
Thank you, Glenn. I like the way you put things through. I've reviewed, we've listened, and a lot of things can happen in 3 years. I personally would like to see option one with the option. Let me be very clear with the option of going out. But when you say RFP, Glenn, you say, is that going out to bid? We don't actually have to go out to bid, do we?
That's my point. You don't if you don't want to. And it's set up so when you get there, you can choose your path. If you want to do bids, you can do it. If you want to pick another path, you can do that too.
And that's with option one.
Correct. I think so. Kay's got the final draft, so I'll let her lead you through the contract.
So that's the piece of option 1 where it says, the client may give written notice to the broker of its intent to put out the agreement for a request for qualifications and proposals or take such other action in its fiduciary responsibility. So that's where the flexibility is.
And we opt not to, we have the option of not doing, we're not forced to, but if we see the need. Any concerns from the chairman, from members? I'm looking at option number 3 as a viable, possibly the best viable option. Any comments from the members?
No, I concur with you, Mayor. I think that's number 3, right?
Option
That's
one-
number 1.
Option 1.
Option 1.
Oh,
One, there's one.
okay.
I'm
There's
confused.
one, okay.
That's 1.
I heard 3.
No, I think that is always a good, option to have that flexibility. Precisely, I'm very glad that I'm kind of chilled from some of the political things that you have heard. Susanna, I haven't, and I have been involved that. But as an administrator, I know that it is expected that I will be able to have that opportunity to, be the flexibility to be able to make decisions on behalf of who we represent. But I feel that option 1, states again that we will renew, but in case that we decide not to, we still have that flexibility. Although, as it was mentioned in the discussions before, all the countries state that, there's always, an option to terminate contracts from either side and with, 30 days or 60 days notice. So that's why I said at the beginning, I think that either of the 3 options still, states that we trust and we appreciate the work and we're, willing to continue. So however the group decides, I'm fine with it.
Gustavo? No worries. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I move to approve option number 1 as presented. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion, there's a second. All is in favor?
Aye.
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 All is against? Motion carries. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second. All is in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All is against? Motion carries. Have a good evening. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
No, no, that. Yeah, I think you and Susan's happy with it now. I mean, I read it out to him, but it didn't click.
But I hope not here. I left it earlier. But I have both. Yes. Yeah. Of so you don't get my Oh, okay. Yeah, that's it.
Vente por acá. ¿Cómo estás? Ok, así como, perdón, así como los habías puesto, así se pone para todos. Entonces, si tienen ya una botella, it doesn't hurt for them to have another one. Ok. Dos. Ah, bien, bien, gracias a Dios. Ay, ya con el calor, me pongo este en vibrador, que usted agarró una llamada que ni siquiera, nomás decía una llamada que no, pero estaban hable y hable, no sé quién sería. Ay, ay, ay. Yes. Y ya, te has perdido unas pachangas buenas allá en la Malquerida. No, ya ha habido, fue el cumpleaños de la Azucena y luego fue la despedida de la Aurora. He ido como tres, creo. Voy a necesitar un timer. No sabes si lo puso el Jonathan. Hombre. Le digo a la Nadia, le digo, ay, vengo nomás por comerme esos toritos que me tienen loca. Para Culture the Public.
Recording in progress.
te va a ayudar a conectarlos ahí. Cristian, ¿ya agarraste los belices entonces? Los belices, ¿ya los agarraste? Los belices.
No, pues usted le digo, no sé.
No, actually, I talked to Maria afterwards. She's gonna talk to Ed because what you said is like 300. So they're gonna just, I don't know specific. I think what was the price is.
Adelaida, ¿estás malita? ¿Qué te pasó en tu mano? Va a inmovilizarlo. Sí, sí, claro que sí. Bien, ¿y tú? ¿Y ayer cuántas personas fueron? Porque cuando yo pasé no había nadie. Miramos. ¿Qué onda? Ah, sí. Sí, muy bien, gracias a Dios. Aquí estamos, sí, claro que sí. Sí, sí. Bueno, que nos dieron tu water. Le tengo mucha sed. Ay, ay, ay.
Sonia, are you ready?
Mayor, if I can just make one announcement, please.
Please,
Good evening. We have translating equipment for those needing the translating services. Tenemos servicio de traducción si necesitan el aparatito allá con el muchacho en el cuartito de atrás. Gracias.
I think I'm gonna need one. Call to order. Can I get roll call, please?
Mayor Gerardo Sánchez,
Present.
Vice Mayor Africa Luna Carrasco,
Present.
Councilmember Mario Buchanan Jr.,
Present.
Councilmember Luis Cabrera,
Present.
Councilmember Jose Ponce,
Present.
Councilmember Matias Rosales,
Present.
Councilmember Gloria Torres.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Councilmember Ponce, could you lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Let's pray. Father, we thank you tonight for your goodness and your grace to each one of us. And we thank you that as we begin to go into this next new physical year, we pray that you would give us the wisdom and discernment to govern the way that you've called us to. We pray that we would put differences aside for the sake of unity within our community. And we pray, God, that you would allow us the opportunity to do that as they trust us to make those decisions. We pray also and thank you for what is happening with the pandemic. At this time, we thank you for the numbers being quite low. We thank you that there is beginning to be some type of resemblance of healing within our land and our community as those that have lost loved ones we grieve with, and those that have come through it, we thank you for that. So, Father, we pray that you would have your hand on this meeting tonight. We ask it in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Steve. We are going to go ahead with our first presentation. Item number 4A, presentation on all matters regarding Greater Yuma Port Authority activities. Buna George, bienvenida.
Hello, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. My name is Bina George, and I have the privilege of serving as the Executive Director to the Greater Yuma Port Authority, and I'm here with a quick summary of events that we've got going on. Do I have a clicker, Sonia? Here? Okay. No, thank you. Wonderful. So the Greater Yuma Port Authority's mission statement is to develop a gateway for global trade to facilitate, promote, and support multimodal transportation and trade opportunities to enhance the economic development in the Greater Yuma area. Currently, the executive board members, we've got 4 entities with 2 appointed members each, with the city of San Luis being represented by chairman and council, or council member, I'm sorry, boss, jeez. Matia Rosales, and then Frank Rascon from Frank's Trucking. From Yuma County, we have Chairman of the Board of Supervisors, Tony Reyes, and County Administrator Susan Thorpe. From the Cocopah Indian Tribe, Gary Magrino for Business Development, and their new planner, Ms. Fernando Mesquita. And for the city of Yuma, we have Council Member Gary Knight and newly appointed Wayne Gale, who is President of First Bank Yuma. So I provided a timeline just for the sake of information. So anything having to do with large projects obviously take time. The GYPA, I was told, was envisioned in 1995, came to fruition in 2000, and finally could say that they put the San Luis II Commercial Port of Entry in 2010. So when it comes to binational coordination, also state, local, and federal levels, it takes a little bit of time, and it takes participation from all the entities with a lot of moving parts. So the travel restrictions, when I emailed this over to Sonia, it was still June 21st, excuse me. They did do a 30-day extension onto that, so into July we are now for another 30 days as far as the essential travel is concerned. Also provided for you was the pedestrian data for 2019, 2020, and the first quarter of 2021. So obviously we're going to see the de-escalation towards mid-March and April when the travel restrictions were implemented. So we're seeing a little less than 100,000 people in April, and slowly climbing into December for 2020, and then those numbers coming up just a tad bit in March for the first quarter. Private vehicles, we see along the same trends as we saw with the pedestrians, and the commercial trucks, we've seen a record of over 6,000 in the first quarter for 2020, which is really exciting news. So some of the collaborative events that we have done with GYEDC, Forefront ED, as well as OPRODE San Luis Rio Colorado, which is essentially the Economic Development Corporation, but in San Luis. In 2019, we hosted the Binational Customs Forum there in San Luis, Mexico. In 2020, we did the Binational Trade Series because obviously we all had to make adjustments due to COVID. And then 2021, we still kept it virtual with the second one as far as highlighting the logistics portions along with the trade methods. And then later this year, we are doing one focused on regional planning. An update on the Magrino Industrial Park. We did, in conjunction with Jenny, bless her heart, she's been so wonderful and helpful towards this whole project. We applied for a $500,000 Arizona Commerce Authority for paving and grading. That was awarded, and in fact, final walkthrough for that phase is going to be tomorrow. So that's coming to an end. GYADC assisted in the grant writing, and we are in our 4th development for the phasing of the industrial park. Right where you see the blue arrows is where the 3rd phase, initial phase, for the Arizona Commerce Authority grant was issued. So some of the successes I'd like to share was the expansion of spindle cooling from groundbreaking to development to ribbon cutting to a full functioning facility. They've got over 50,000 square feet of temperature controlled warehousing. They have an estimated $10.7 million investment after the the completed of the 3 projects, and those were pre-COVID prices, so I'm gonna assume that that'll probably be a little bit higher in the next few years. As of right now, looking at 22 employees with an average salary of $16 an hour. Next success is Labrie Manufacturing, also from groundbreaking to current development. They're looking at a $4 million investment with 35 employees, and again, this facility will immediately support manufacturing plant in San Luis, Mexico, with over 200 employees. Overall, positive economic impact for the county. As we continue our mission, opening the dialogue with port users, with the federal agencies, making the needs known, and working in conjunction to find a resolution, and that's with CBP, ADOT, and USDA. So some of the action items we have going, the full-time entomologist letter we submitted earlier this month. There were some users, that had expressed wants of extended port hours at San Luis, reducing the overall out of service for the truck rates, and that's working in conjunction with ADOT, improving the wait times for the pedestrians and the vehicles. Broadband is a big factor, as far as supporting our federal partners and ensuring that Yuma County and San Luis are all represented when it comes to any Sonora, Arizona, or US-Mexico decisions. So with that, Mayor, going back to the mission statement, developing a gateway for global trade is a successful implementation of San Luis 2. Supporting multimodal transportation is ensuring that all our major arterial roadways to 95 to the 8 are taken care of and well maintained. And the economic development aspect is the development of the Magrino Industrial Park. So with GYPA celebrating their 20th years, we want to thank the City of San Luis for their partnership. And I would like to thank you, Mayor, for your wonderful staff. If there was anything I ever needed, I just picked up a phone, whether it was administration or planning or economic development, and everybody has really helped through this whole process. So I want to say thank you personally for that. And with that, Jasper.
I just want to say that that GYPA has been present in all the major meetings we've had with ADOT, with the governor, with our counterparts in Mexico, La Gobernadora Pavlovich, and you can see 10 years ago we were always thinking I was questioning why were we part of this organization, why we haven't seen any benefits, and what I see now is multi-million investments. And I hear that all the plots that were already processed or developed have already been sold. And people are looking for more lots. And these are future investments. These are future jobs for the city of San Luis and the community. And a lot of them have a business across the border, but they need a hub, a U.S. hub. And I believe the city of San Luis, thanks to the vision of the Greater Yuma Port Authority, there's land available, and San Luis has the development, has the land available. And I appreciate for everything you do and what the organization does and what it stands for. And it's clearly making an impact. And once the whole COVID situation normalizes and we're back to business, it's already coming. You're going to see the investors. You're going to see people coming, and that's the best part of seeing something from vacant land to developed land and now sold land. And so I commend you. I commend you. I commend your staff and also the members. They're visionaries, and that's what we need. And I thank you. Thank you for the update.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Be careful what you say, because it's the staff of one. He's gonna want some more staff, you know?
It's up to your chairman, okay? It's up to him. Oh, you're the chairman.
More money?
Yeah, there we go. Now, we're going to go ahead and go with item number 4B, presentation on all matters regarding COVID-19 sewage testing early warning program. Paul Burley. Thank you, Paul, for coming. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for the opportunity.
Of course.
Mayor, council members. I'm Paul Brierley. I run what's called the Yuma Center of Excellence for Desert Agriculture. It's a University of Arizona public-private partnership with the agriculture industry here in Yuma. And let's see. So we were asked when the outbreak was rolling last summer, we were asked by one of our donors if there's something we could do to help Yuma County get back to work safely, in particular with the vegetable season coming on and people coming. So, I'm going to go through this quick because there's not much time, so if you have questions at the end, feel free. But in a nutshell, we brainstormed a lot of things. We decided on this tool that had been, that they were utilizing in Tucson at the U of A to analyze wastewater and look for the virus that causes COVID, and actually they can detect it in the wastewater a week before someone who was infected would have symptoms. So it's an early warning system to know that people are being infected. And so we decided that we would try to bring that here to Yuma County to help protect the ag workforce, but then by having a lab here, which we built up, then it could be really a community asset and used for the community as a whole. So this is how it works. You collect samples from the wastewater plants or other, depending on the community that you're testing. You collect the samples, you concentrate it, you filter it, and then you analyze it with PCR machines so that you can quantify how much is in the wastewater. So again, you can define the community any way you want, just depending how you're collecting the sample. So it could be a whole city if you're doing a wastewater plant, could be a school, could be a dormitory, could be a factory or a packing house, these kinds of things. In fact, we had hoped even to be able to test outhouses, and so that we could pinpoint in a particular farm labor crew when someone was infected before they infected everybody else, like was happening in the meatpacking plants. Turns out we couldn't do that because of the chemicals in the outhouses, but we found a lot of other good uses for it. So just a timeline of what we did here in Yuma County. Like I mentioned, it was Jesus Tovar from TMP Farms in Somerton who came to us with the initial request that got us going on this. We got funding from the Yuma County Board of Supervisors to establish the lab, equip the lab, and hire the personnel to run the lab. And so we did that. That was challenging, but we got a lab going and set up in the middle of COVID. We hired people to run it. The first things we did, we had a really successful adventure, if you will, with DatePack. So DatePack has a facility that they run year-round with 200-person crews. And we started testing just before Thanksgiving, and we were not finding any of the virus. And after the Thanksgiving break, when everybody goes home and has their get-togethers, we had a positive test. And that was really our first one. And it's like, oh, what do we do? We had been working with county health department and the hospital and others. And so Diana Gomez, the county health director, was quick to respond and got in touch with Amanda Aguirre at the Regional Center for Border Health. And they put a mobile testing unit in the parking lot that afternoon, tested all of the employees and found 4 who were asymptomatic but infected. And one of them had a spouse working there too, so they asked all 5 to isolate. And the next week when we tested, we found no virus. So we are fairly confident that we prevented an outbreak there. It would have been right at the holiday time, would have stopped production at DatePack. And they've continued to do that testing at their own expense because it's so valuable to them to know that they're keeping their workforce safe. We did the same thing at the dorms at Arizona Western College, so we're able to alert them when there's an issue, and then they get people tested and figure out who it is and isolate them. Then we did Yuma County again funded a schools pilot project so that we could test schools and see what that would tell us. And then we got funding from the state to do countywide all the municipalities and really kind of do zone testing roughly in every zip code, but just to make sure that every sort of population center was being tested. And of course that includes San Luis. And Mayor, we appreciate your support of your city joining in on that. So I want to tell you about that. What they funded was for us to do testing twice a week of, I think it was 15 sites, but 3 of them were in San Luis. We worked with Tadeo and Elohio and appreciate all the cooperation that we got so that you guys collected the samples twice a week. We processed them and tracked what the prevalence was of the virus in the wastewater, so that we could see if it was increasing, if it was at a high level, if it was worthy of concern and response or not. And then the other idea is that you could do targeted testing to respond to that and figure out really where is the problem. You could test schools, you could test prisons, you could test, whatever long-term care facilities, things like that. So we began that testing. You can't see it very well, but that was a heat map on the right that we could show where in the county. I mean, one nice thing about this, it gives you localized information rather than just county metrics. So if you're trying to decide, do you need to close things down? Does a school need to go virtual? They can do it with more local information. So we tested twice a week, and then we would report twice a week the next day to each municipality, and this is an example of the San Luis results over time. And you can see there was sometimes when it did get fairly high, we really had 2 times that we alerted saying there's really an issue that needs to be dealt with. Well, let's see. So this is what we did with the quantification. And we had either we're not detecting it, there's no response needed. We detect at a certain level, that's kind of level of concern 1, where there needs to be enhanced awareness of being careful about things. And then level of concern 2 is more where we recommend clinical testing so that people know there's something going on. They should get tested even if they don't feel sick. Up to the level 3, which is you really need to consider people staying home. So we would send these twice a week. We would send interpretations to the municipality to say, here's what we found. We would send a spreadsheet that showed all the levels and numbers and what the level of concern was so that they could act on that. And then we had the whole steering committee, which was really countywide, all the municipalities, the hospital, the county health department, the schools. And once a week, we would let them know kind of all around the county what's going on. And then if there was some concern, some level of concern or issue, then we would get them all together and discuss it. And so we did have twice that we had a level of concern. One was in a particular area, it was in the foothills. And then the next time was really kind of countywide. And what that led to was a news release on all their channels from the county about the fact that the levels were high, people really should get tested, take precautions. One of them, things were fairly high in San Luis also, and so San Luis, as a city, also put out an announcement to your citizens. So we had that public announcement that led both times to an article, front page article in the Yuma Sun, which got a lot of attention. There's no way really to measure what impact it had, but certainly keeping in mind that we started this testing when the pandemic was kind of starting to wane, this at least made people be a little more careful and realize this thing's not done. I do need to still be careful. And these alerts would tell them what was going on, where, and also what resources there were. So like where could you get free testing? And then we did targeted testing too. And even in San Luis, we when it got to a high level, we started testing at the detention center to see if that was part of what was contributing to the problem. So it's turned out, so that was a 6-month pilot project, which is about to, the funding for that is about to end. It's turned out that what's really been unique in Yuma County is the fact that we act on it. We have everybody together so they can act on it. Most places across the country, and we did bring in a visiting researcher who works on these things around the country. Most places it's just another data point that the county health department has and not necessarily acted on. But here we had this, like Yuma County does, we had a good community group that would act on it. And again, we feel it helped keep awareness up when there was a problem and people need to be more careful, get businesses open. And now that we're coming towards the end of it, we've talked with all the municipalities, all the stakeholders. Everybody would like to continue it. So we're searching for funding to see if we can, we got funding. I should say that the Board of Supervisors has funded 2 employees so that we know we can keep the lab open. So now knowing that, we're going to try to get funding to continue at least once a week surveillance in the municipalities so that it's kind of a watching the back door, if you will. It's, it maybe isn't front and center on everybody's concern, but But this way, as new variants might come in, or the vaccines might wane, or whatever, we'll be kind of able to watch and see if something's getting bad again. So the other thing is during this project, we've made some collaborations where we are having some of our samples tested for new variants. So they're doing genetic sequencing, and they can see if there's any new variants that come in. We'll know that. And also the visiting researcher that we had has developed a model that not only can we give this level of concern, but we can also give an estimate of how many people are contributing to that sample. So you might react different if it's 5 people shedding a lot that's showing a high value versus 150 people or something. And so that'll be part of it going forward. So we're out, like I say, we're out there searching for funding. We have we believe some good prospects for funding to keep that going. We appreciate that your utilities department has been collecting the samples and is willing to continue that. So fingers crossed, we'll keep it going at no cost to you guys. Worst case, we would say here's what it costs if you want to continue it.
Yeah. Paul, I just want to say that when I received a call from you and county supervisor, who was the county supervisor? Was it?
Probably Reyes.
Yeah. And one of the things that.
Oh no, it was McLeod.
Yeah,
so
it was
Russell
McLeod.
Russell McLeod was a big.
Russell
proponent of
McLeod
this.
was a big pushing for
Yeah.
that. Yes, exactly. So, and a year ago we didn't have this tool. And the thing is, the fact that the University of Arizona was using it to screen and actually test the water in the dormitories, and they were able, they acted on it. And the thing is, and it's something we need because we didn't have a tool. Now we have, at least the last time it was elevated, we gave notice and people took the proper precautions because it stayed there. And then it went good.
Yep.
So this gave us a couple of weeks in advance that we have high numbers, there are people out there, and it gives us an opportunity as a city to inform our citizens of the event, if it's happening, to take precautions. And so we are limited now in what we can do. The governor has decided that it's basically on you, on the person. But I think it's a tool, a necessary tool, and I think the city should continue doing it because as of right now, numbers are looking very good. But I hear some of the hospitals on our counter side is full. And so we're not far apart. And so we need to be very conscious, we need to be vigilant. And please let us know if we can do anything, if we can help you and assist, because we definitely need to use this tool for our advantage, especially when it comes to our seniors.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And one thing I may ask you if we continue is, I had hoped to get a sample from your sister city across the border, and I never quite got there, but we're able to do that if.
I think we can get you some.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get you some.
Great.
Okay.
I think that would be valuable. So,
Yeah.
but again, thank you to you and your staff, and
Thank you.
appreciate the support.
Thank you for your hard work. Appreciate it. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and go with the consent agenda. All matters are considered routine by City Council and be enacted in one motion. If discussion is desired, that item be removed from the consent agenda and we consider separately. Minutes of work session held May 19, 2021, regular council meeting held May 26, 2021. Disbursements from June 2nd, 2021 to June 14, 2021, $1,650,223.05. I will now entertain a motion to approve consent agenda.
Here I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor. There's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion carries. Item number 6A, discussion possible action on matters regarding an informational update on the Mesa Street Improvements Project. Danny Torres, Economic Development Manager.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. This presentation, Sonia, would you mind bringing it up? Thank you. This presentation will be done by myself, Eulogio Vera, Public Works Director, and Mary French Jones. Back in May of 2020, we held a public hearing where the City Council selected Mesa Street as one of the priority projects to be submitted to the Arizona Department of Housing for Community Development Block Grant. In August, we started the design of the project, and that's where we started looking at, what would the project look like. Eulogio is going to come in just a bit to really talk about the details of it, but in a summary, we are calling it a Mesa Street Improvements Phasing Project. Phase 1 includes improvements to the road, sidewalks, curb and gutter, ADA ramps, storm drain, and retaining wall. For Phase 2 is the tie-ins for C Street and D Street in road improvements, curb and gutter, sidewalks, pedestrian, concrete steps with safety rail, which Eulogio will talk a little bit about it, and private land acquisition, which I will get into it a little bit more. So with that, let me have Eulogio come in and give you a little bit more detail of, what we have been talking to some of the residents. Flyers have been delivered. There was a petition for this specific project and the need for it, and so we thought that it would be a good idea to come in and not only provide an update to council, but for the residents as well. Eulogio?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. So, to go over the scope of the project, I think we've discussed this in the past and different options, different alternatives for the one-ways and everything else. So what we have here is sort of what staff thinks it's the best layout and sort of best circulation, and that's including input from PD and fire. But really with the facing of it, we have the Cesar Chavez, and I don't think I have a pointer. I might. Nice. So the area here on the top, the north block of what's shown in the screen, that's really the phase 1 of the project, which is what's funded by the grant. It includes actually Mesa Street, two-way between E Street and C. And we have a retaining wall facing the hill. And that pretty much just allows us to be able to fit the roadways improvements within that room. And then on C and E, we stop, the grant project stops just east of the alley. What is now the alley, which is now the actual road, which is right, it stops right there. You can see that black line there. And then along E Street, same thing. So that's the end of phase 1. And then for phase 2, actually it has the connections between phase 1 and actually Archibald along E, and the same thing along C. And then additional work that's included in phase 1 if enough funding is available. If not, it will still be more like phase 3, but it's breaking it into 2 phases. But it will be the work along E Street on the north side, and as well as along F Street between Mesa Street and Archibald. The part of the project that we're including in phase 2, not in phase 1, it's we're adding some stairs. There's stairway at the end of C Street, allowing pedestrians to be able to come down the hill into pretty much into the San Luis Plaza Drive area. That's something that, at least on the public works side, people have been asking for something like that, especially people that don't drive. And if you look out there right now, there is pedestrian trails that people go up and down that hill. But again, that's going to be included in phase 2, not part of the grant project. I'm not sure if there's any questions from council so far. Okay, so just to reiterate, so on Mesa Street between C and E, it will be two-way traffic. We're going to allow there's going to be room for parking on one side for pretty much for residential parking, on-street parking. And then on what currently is the alley, is going to be a one-way northbound with sidewalk on both sides, and it's going to allow for parking on one side. And right now we're looking at parking on the east side of the alley, mainly because the lots to the east, which face Archibald, don't really have much parking room on Archibald because of the three lanes, or one way to the south. And then on these other lots to the west, they will have on-street parking. And that's really it. I mean, there's gonna be two-way traffic along on E, same thing on F. And then over here on the what it's gonna be the grant-funded project, there's gonna be sidewalk on both sides, all around that block for proper pedestrian access and ADA compliance.
Mr. Rivera, the retention wall, where exactly will we be putting the retention?
So actually, the retaining wall has been, was one of the main challenges that we're looking for funding purposes. Originally, we're looking at like 500 foot of retaining wall. And as design progressed, the retaining wall will start here at the curve on the south side, turning around C and coming over onto Mesa Street, and they'll end right there. You can see where the cursor is.
Yeah.
That's really where the retaining wall is, approximate location where it's going to stop. There's going to be also a series of a couple additional retaining walls where the stairs will be over here as well to be able to make the grade change coming down the hill. But the length and height of those retaining walls were a significant decrease during design. They looked at different alternatives for slopes and for grading that I think we almost got it to almost half of the original amount. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and explain a little bit on the drainage. The other key point that was really identified as an additional item to include in this project was we included a storm drain line that connects from the Archibald storm drain system. It connects over, or we were proposing to connect it over to an existing underground canal along San Luis Plaza Drive. That we call it's a storm drain, but it's more of a bleed off line. It was identified in that drainage study that we worked with a consultant to identify. It was one of the options that would help alleviate some of the stormwater discharge that is generated in this area. We've sort of been trying to coordinate with the Yuma County water users because they sort of own the canal, the underground canal. We've been seeking permission to be able to do that. So we recently were informed that it is an option. It is something that we can do. So as part of this project, we included that discharge pipe that would help reduce the on-site retention required on all these lots. And I know that's something that we were working on parallel to this project. Yeah. But I know some of the people in this area were interested in what was going to be the outcome of those findings, whether we're going to eventually be able to implement to try and help these lots with the on-site retention. So at this time, we can actually say that it will help, and we will be trying to implement that storm drain pipe. And we actually got a response today. So
very good.
So it's actually sort of convenient. But that's also a very, very important thing and very helpful for this area, as well as the downtown. So.
Can you identify the land acquisition in the map so that when I talk about it, they'll...
Before the acquisition, we talk about the land. I was going to ask a question regarding the drainage. One of the owners actually that owns like where it says phase 1, that labeling that's in front of the Circle K, and I believe he owns those 2 lots. He had some concerns, and I will be talking with him regarding, because the key thing, it was this drainage. That was a drainage requirement that the city requires if you were to build something right now. And I know the lot owner was big on the drainage. He was, because he could put a lot more cars in there if the requirement wasn't there. So by us doing this, we're going to facilitate. We're actually not going to require that drainage, I believe. Is it that drainage requirement?
That is correct. The on-site requirement will be reduced significantly, if not entirely, with these improvements.
Yeah. that was one of the concerns of the owner on that corner lot. And that's why he wasn't sure if he wanted a sign or not, because he wasn't sure about the drainage. He asked about the drainage. And so, and you just answered the question. That's why I needed to ask. And I thank you. Now, acquisition?
You want to point out just the property?
Yeah, as part of as the design progressed and the actual alignment of the roadways were pretty much finalized, this is I think like 1965 plat when this land was sort of split or platted out. The room for handicap ramps and things like that, it's not quite what we have now. So with that, including sidewalk ramps and the intersections, we would need some easements, or actually it would be land. We're looking at getting easements to be able to start be able to say that we have site control for the project. But eventually, we might be looking into the purchasing, but it would be in this intersection with C and the alley on both of the east and west properties. And we would be needing a little corner also on the west end of that first lot, as well as this other intersections as well. We would need a little bit here. We would need on these two properties, the corners, just to be able to fit the sidewalk ramps, and the same thing on this corner here. So we're looking at seven corners.
7 corners.
Yes.
What's the estimated cost for this? I mean, not the land acquisition, but the overall cost of the project, an estimated.
We're gonna go into that one in the
Okay.
next one, but you want to talk about that right away on the Mrs. Street as well, show them which one it is. So we're talking to 5 different owners for that acquisition. The bigger acquisition is up on Mesa Street, and the other 4 are the corners of those. So I'll talk a little bit about it.
Please.
Sorry. So then we get to the good stuff, right?
Of course.
So the engineer's cost estimate as of now stands at, for phase 1, is $908,565. Phase 2 is $211,856. For the private land acquisition estimate, we don't know at this point. We're going through an appraisal to try to know exactly what the cost is going to be. I can tell you that for the 4 property owners for the corner lots, we have spoken to all 4. We are requesting an easement. An easement means the authorization for us to come in and do improvements, but they would still own the land. We're doing that as a part of the application to get site control so that we don't get disqualified. But what we want to do and what we're recommending to council is that we go back and we purchase them. So that we'll know pretty soon, and we have talked to Finance Director Monica just to get her up to date, because that was not allocated in the actual project. We didn't know how much we were going to need. Again, the 4 corners are very small cost. The other longer one on Mesa Street is probably one of the bigger ones. How much are we getting from the Arizona Department of Housing? We're applying for $626,000 to $115,000. The city has allocated $486,000, $320,000 from the general fund and the HERF. Obviously, it covers phase 1 and phase 2, but it doesn't cover the land acquisition, which is something that we really need to take that into consideration as we go back and try to do that. Now, in terms of timeline, the application is due next week. We expect award sometime in mid-August. We put alternative award because of the site control issue. If CDBG would have any issues with that, we have a backup application, which I don't know if you recall, Mary came back and tried to prioritize some of the projects, and we included Rancho Los Oros Phase 2 and Phase 3. So Rancho Los Oros Phase 3 would be our backup application in case CDBG had any issues with this project. Site control, again, acquire the private land is hopefully in January. We would start construction in March, and September. This is a rough estimate. It all depends on the site control, and that could push the timeline a couple of months, but we feel pretty confident that it's gonna go in this timeline. Now, what were the challenges? Eulogio, actually, we thought it was a challenge, and it became, we received the good news from the Yuma County water users that they were willing to work with us. So in terms of the drainage system, that became a benefit. BLM, we submitted an application to them. I don't know if you guys recall that project where we have all the parking lot where the agriculture workers park. We submitted an application to Bureau of Reclamation, and then we submitted another application to BLM where we tried to acquire specific parts of land in the downtown that would be focused in parks. So those applications have been submitted since last year, and so that would be an issue in the process of acquiring the authorization for a small portion of this project. If they will not give us the authorization, we can just put that small portion of the project for a future development, and that wouldn't cause any issues with the project. Private land acquisition, again, is site control. It's just convincing the owners that these improvements will improve the area, their value of their property would be more, and obviously it would be a really good project for the downtown. The cost, Eulogio talked about it in terms of the design, the improvements, and the site control. And one other item that several of the residents brought up is the commercial truck traffic and access obstruction on C Street. If you recall, we have Mesa Street, and on the south side, we have Factor Sales. What the residents are complaining about is that whenever you got traffic going southbound, or if you got some deliveries happening, they're parking not only in their ramp, but they're parking in the streets, and they're blocking any resident from having access to their property. So that is an issue that once we construct this, it's an issue now, but once we construct this, they're not gonna be able to do that. So that's something that we're gonna have to get strong in terms of enforcement to make sure that all these improvements that we're putting in this project, that those residents will be able to access their property. So with that, Mary, Eulogio, and myself are here to address any questions you might have.
I want to say that thank you, and it's something that needed to be done, and we discussed this in the past, and I actually thank the residents who are here, who actually started the petition, and I really appreciate that, and it's something that the city has been we've been looking at all possible options, and we have looked. Mr. Vera has actually personally gone out and looked at the different streets, and this Mesa was one of them. And thank you for the expedited speed you guys been doing this project. And that just tells us that the caliber of people we have working, and we have you and your staff and grant writers and Mr. Vera and the water associations also. And it's very important. And no, I'm excited. I really am excited, and I hope we get awarded. I really do. Anyone else from council?
No, Mayor, I just want to echo what you said and thank all the parties involved in getting this done. Thank you for all your effort.
Just wanted to say thank you for the update, Jenny. That way the community and us as well are informed and we know when this is going to happen.
Thank you, Jenny, and all the parties involved. I have a question. On the road on the far right, close to the post office perimeter, okay, that's going to be a two-way traffic road? Because right now it's only a one-way, isn't it?
On this one here?
No, that one right there.
This one, so it will be a two-way traffic cross-section. I think mainly it's one way because the post office is sort of one way, but the roads are being improved to standard, so we're gonna be having the full width. So this is sort of the concept that's being proposed. In the event that down the road we decide to do any landscaping or create some kind of green open space area here, that can always become parallel parking, and we keep it one way. It's just difficult to do one way now and then plans change or something. The post office That's going to sort of be like a more complicated project down the road. So right now it's being proposed as a two-way width, but it can be used one way with parallel parking. So it would have room for two-way traffic. The one thing that I just wanted to mention for everybody, I think just something that from staff side, I think we've been talking about this project probably 6 years, maybe even 7.
Yeah.
I mean, first it becomes sort of like a concept, and it's really like, well, how would we be able to get funding? So much of the speed or how fast we're working on it is just because of the funding opportunities, and we see the opportunity, and so we're trying to make it work. But this is one of those projects that's definitely has significant challenges. But I think we've been fortunate that I think we can make it work.
So for clarification, this was brought up 6 years ago, 7 years ago, was it?
I would say at least, because when that parcel was developed, like you mentioned this year, the onsite, people were asking about, what are we doing about drainage? What are we doing to help these small parcels so they can get developed? And that's when, as staff, we started looking at options, and then Jenny worked on trying to get funding for the study. The study got completed. So yeah, it's been on the books for years. And honestly, I mean, it's one of those things that we see the opportunity, and hopefully we can make it work.
Very good.
Mayor, I want to mention that.
Please.
I remember when I approached you guys 2 years ago about this, because I've been approached by those residents too, and I just want to thank you guys because, I mean, I know that we had this plan in the agenda, we wanted to work on this for so many years back. But it was important from the residents also, reminding us that it was a need in that area. So I want to thank you, Elohio and Jenny, for working on this. And of course, Mary being involved in this. This is very exciting news for all those residents. Thank you.
Gracias. Thank you. Thank you, Jenny. We're going to go ahead and go with item number 6B, discussion possible action on items regarding an increase of purchase price of an ambulance above the price City Council approved on September 2020. Chief Ramirez?
Good evening, Mayor and Vice Mayor, members of council. This item was, like you said, was brought to you in September of 2020. After the purchase price during the build, we learned some stuff during the COVID phase. We added some, especially a UV light to the ambulance, a permanent UV light, which increased the price by $701. So right now, the ambulance is on its way here, and we're actually formally requesting the ratification of the purchase order 2021-696 to Republic EVS, and the amount increase of $701.
Thank you. No, that's something that needs to happen, and that's something we need. I see the ambulance is constantly moving in and out, and when you mentioned the number of miles accumulating, I look at him now and I'm like, wow, that's why. No, I have nothing against it. Good job, and let's get it done. We need that that fourth ambulance here.
Exactly.
Good job. Anyone from council? Concerns? No? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to ratify to the $701 increased price to purchase the ambulance as presented.
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion carries. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
We're going to go ahead and go with item number 6C, public hearing followed by discussion and possible action on all matters regarding resolution number 2187, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of San Luis, Arizona, adopting the budget for fiscal year 2021-2022. I will now entertain a motion to open public hearing.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor. There's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion carries. Monica, please.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. 2 weeks ago, we presented to council the tentative budget for approval. Since then, the tentative budget has been published in the local newspaper for inviting the public to comment. After the tentative budget was approved, it was brought to our attention the need to add a additional position to the budget. It was the code enforcement position. This is to ensure compliance for the public works and business activities in the city. In order to accommodate that request, we removed from the tentative budget that it was presented, we removed an assistant position for the public works department, and we reallocated some expenses. This change did not increase the budget, nor change the positions that are considered in the budget. By statute, we cannot increase the budget after it is presented. We only are reallocating resources to make sure that the needs of the city are met. With that said, we are proposing or recommending for approval a budget for fiscal year 2022. Sonia, do you want to put the spreadsheet so the council can see the numbers?
You mean the attachment, Robles? So we are recommending for the budget for fiscal year 2022, a budget of $94,976,387 as it was presented in the last session. This includes the amount of transfers out. That's the reason that if you look at the amount of the line 1, in the line 1 it says $89,530,737. This is net of transfers. But if you add that line with the amount of transfers, you have the amount that it was presented in the tentative budget. And this is what we are submitting for approval. Like I mentioned, aside from the change that I just mentioned, no other change was made. And as I mentioned in the prior session, this is a very, we are very optimistic with next year. We are gonna do a lot of projects that has been on the shelf for many years, but next year is giving us the opportunity to address many needs of the community. So we're looking forward to next year. Therefore, I respectfully submit to council for acceptance and adoption the budget for fiscal year 2022.
Monica, our budget ends when? In a couple of days, huh?
Yes,
So the budget starts June 1st.
July 1st.
July 1st, July 1st.
July 1st.
Oh, yes, July 1st. Claro, ya pasó. Okay. I would like to congratulate staff and you and everyone and all the section heads and department heads. It's been a challenge, and especially with all the projects that were not done last year. We had to put them on hold, and I think that was a very smart decision by council and by staff to put it on hold, those big projects. So next year, we should be seeing a lot more of those projects get done. And that accounts for that transfer. That's very important because people are going to say, wait a minute, you have 94, we are approving 94 million, but the expenditures is 54.011. So for clarification, thank you for clarification. And that position, yeah, we need it. So thank you for doing it so short, in short notice, and I appreciate your staff doing that. Okay, so I have no other questions and comments. I just want to say thank you. Great job. Gracias a todos. Anyone from council?
Just make a comment,
Please.
Mayor. I just want to thank you, Monica, for the hard, I know the year was very hard, but I want to thank you for all you do for our city, you and your staff. You are doing a good job. Thank you.
Thank you. Matias?
Just for clarification and, reading the newspapers and everything, we're not in a deficit, correct?
Yes, correctly, and that's good that you are asking that question, and this schedule explains it perfectly. As I mentioned in the prior council meeting when I presented the tentative budget, we are fiscally responsible, and the budget is balanced. In fact, it is required by statute. We cannot adopt a budget that is not balanced, but in order to balance the budget, to say that it's structurally balance is not just taking the revenues and expenditures, pretty much you have to have the same. And you gotta make sure that you match recurring revenues with recurring expenditures. So that's one portion. But the other one is also that we have carrying balances from prior years. So those balances, we wanna make sure that we match them with one-time expenditures, because those are not gonna happen again. So we gotta make sure that we do that, and that exercise was done. And because of prior years that we have been, especially with COVID, that we did not spend as much as travel was suspended, some projects were delayed. So we were able to accumulate positive carryover that next year we're gonna be able to use it to do more projects. But when you see it, sometimes you can see a shortfall, but that necessarily doesn't mean a shortfall. And in this schedule, you can see in the line, third line below, in letter E, you can see when it says balance net position, and right there it says 28 million, so that includes like our positive balances. And at the bottom of the line, you can see resources available. At the end, you can see that we have 142 million resources available, which is a positive carryover versus our projected expenditures are 89 million. That does not include the transfers out. It's like it gives us a cushion, but again, not because we see that difference, is that we have a lot of money, because remember, that balance includes also fixed assets that are not liquid. So that's part of that.
It's a matter of interpretation, but we're fiscally responsible.
Exactly.
And we have a balanced budget on time, so.
And by
Exactly.
law, and by law, we have to have a budget.
Yes,
So are we in
correct.
deficit or not?
No, no, we don't have. No, we don't have a deficit.
Are we gonna make a correction on the news, or is that gonna happen?
I think that's on our PR side that they'll.
Yeah,
take care of
it's
that.
because it's like I said, yes, if you just match current revenues with current expenditures, we're gonna have a shortfall, but we have to remember, if we have a positive carryover that we can use, definitely, like, we're not gonna be in the red. We have money to pay that. Otherwise, we wouldn't
Exactly.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I do want to say, Monica, thank you and your staff as well. But another thing, Mayor and Council, is there's a lot of promising projects, like you stated before. I spoke to Eulogio and I told them, when are these things going to happen? So I kind of asked him for a timeline, but then after speaking to him, I thought it would be a good idea for department heads to come and present to us within the next 2 work sessions, just a timeline of when their projects are going to get done, or an estimated time of when they're going to get done. I know the chief is going to do the fencing and buy police cars and cameras. Eulogio's going to do different street projects and stuff like that. So I think that would be a good idea. That way we have a visual as to when these things are going to happen, and the community also has an idea of when they're going to happen. I know it's not a set in stone date, but at least we have knowledge of when things are going to get done.
I agree, we should know, but as you well know, the city is dynamic. Things happen, and unfortunately, with the pandemic, we're not sure. We can say these projects are going to be done in a particular time, but if they're not, what happens then? That's the only option. We have a list of them, and we should have presentation from the different departments, but when you commit to specific dates, it doesn't work that way. It's very difficult to commit. But this is our projected budget, and unfortunately, let's say, for example, the pandemic hits us again. And so all these projects are gonna put on hold again. So it's very important we inform the public, but there's also informant that there's always an option, there's always a possibility it might be delayed again. So I do agree we need to inform our community, but we also need to give our staff ample time to adjust for a situation, because I don't want to be stressing you, because these are projects that should have been done last year, but because of the pandemic, we're delayed this year. So I'm with you. Let's have the presentations, but let's be very cautious when you say this is going to happen such month. So I don't want to put that stress on our staff because it's all about staff. When can we do it? And it also depends now on the situation of the pandemic, because let's not forget, it's not over yet. It is not over yet. So hopefully, if we continue testing our waters, gives us a heads up, this will continue. But definitely, let's be very clear and make sure that our newspapers are aware that we're not in a deficit for clarification and projects are going to be done. And it's very important that the community knows that projects need to be done. Okay, so I agree with you. Let's do that, but caution on specific dates.
I agree. So it doesn't have to be an exact timeline, just when they think it's gonna start happening. Like Jenny just said, oh, we're applying July 1st. Then we think in January, and then possibly completed by September. So I think us and the public are very understanding, but yeah, it would be a good thing. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else in council? Anyone from the public? This is call to the public also in regards to this topic, any discussion regarding the budget? Questions, concerns from the public? If not, I will now entertain a motion to close public hearing.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion on the floor. There's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion carries. I will now entertain a motion.
I move to approve and adopt resolution number 2187.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor. There's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion carries. Sonia?
I don't have.
Yeah, not reading.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you, Monica. Item number 6D, discussion and possible action on matters regarding order number 2021-6, an order of the Mayor, City Council of the City of San Luis, Arizona, declaring the employee benefits plan a public record, approving the employee benefits plans for the fiscal year 2021-2022 for administration by the San Luis Employee Benefits Trust, providing for repeal of conflicting actions of City Council, providing for severability, and establishing an effective date for the plans.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. As mentioned, we're here recommending approval of the employee benefits plan for the fiscal year 2021 to 2022. The final plan went to the San Luis Employees Benefit Trust on March 10th, 2021, and the trustees approved plan changes presented on April 16th, 2021 at the budget retreat. The final budget amount allocated for benefit plans is $3,514,079 and is to take effect July 1st, 2021.
As chairman of the benefits board and one of the entities that oversees our benefits, I can say that their premiums, our employees' premiums are not going to go up. We continue offering one of the best medical plans for our employees. Thanks to our broker, we wouldn't, even though our number of claims or the amount of claims, they have been higher this part of the year, but we've been managing to able to keep costs down in regards to the employees, to the premiums. Thank you, Council, for previous approval, and hopefully we can approve this new program in which we make sure that we have enough funding for our employees, and our priority is our employees and their families. Our employees is to protect the funds in order to continue to be able to provide the adequate medical coverage for the City of San Luis employees. So I thank you, and HR, I know you guys have worked very hard, and kudos to our broker and everyone that's made it possible, and I really appreciate everything you guys do. So it's hard. While everyone is increasing their premiums, we continue and we actually offer more benefits. And so it's very important. Thank you. Gracias. Any comments from council?
Mayor, I'd like to add a comment to, first of all, thank HR for everything they do. I think they're very professional and very knowledgeable in their area, so thank you. And also, just to mention that I think that we have, if not the best, one of the top best employee benefit packets that we offer to our employees, because we're very appreciative of all the hard work they do.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Anyone else? If not, I will now take a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve order number 2021-6.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor. There's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosalba.
Thank you, Rosalba.
We're going to go ahead and go with summary of current events, events by mayor, city council members, and city manager pursuant to ARS 38-431.02. First and foremost, I would like to say the city of San Luis continues their intern program. We've been very fortunate that this year we have 9 interns from our neighboring universities, except for University of Arizona for some reason, I don't know why. I had to say it, sorry. But the vast majority are ASU students, and they're local from the county, from Somerton. I met someone, I guess, and also from San Luis. And I think these are the programs that needed to happen in the city of San Luis. A lot of the students are going, and when they apply for positions, the first thing they ask you, what kind of experience do you have? And they always look at the interns or if you were participating. And what great pleasure that the city is able to provide that experience to those interns who are from San Luis, who are from Somerton, who are from Yuma, and they can put on that resume that they did an intern in the city. We have interns in administration, we have interns in human resources, we have interns in municipal court, finance, we have interns in public works, planning and zoning, we have interns in human resources, municipal court also, and I believe I also saw, we also have an intern in, is it fire? Also.
IT. IT as well.
IT also. So I am so proud of the students who decided to apply and be part and actually gain the experience and see how government works and how different department works. And I sure hope it helps you, it prepares you for a career that you have chosen. And this is a small token of how the city can help our youth who actually are going to the universities and actually thinking of coming back. And that's very important. So I'm very proud for our interns and proud of our staff and proud of council also for approving the intern program in our last budget. So, and it's an in-person. So a lot of people are still doing online. We're actually doing it in person. So thank you. And I believe, Matias, Vice Mayor, you had some events?
Got invited by ADOT yesterday to attend the first live, going back to live training sessions for the cross-border, I always forget the acronym for it, for the training for the truck drivers y todo. So it was good to see it was a full room, a lot of new faces, a lot of the older attendees were there supporting the new guys. It started at 9 o'clock. I was there around between 10 to 11:30, and I believe it went all the way through 4:30, 5 o'clock. The other good news was that attending the meeting there, Officer Carvajal, we found the missing garage gate opener for the gate that ADOT facility has to Magrino Park. So now we know how to open it. So now our executive director, Buna, is going to figure out who to hire to, because dirt's about 2 feet, so you can't slide it open. But we figured out how to open it now. So it's actually hardwired to their office so they control it. So it's not a remote, it's an actual button. So that was that. Planning and zoning meeting yesterday afternoon for the county, being appointed there. And tomorrow I have Port Authority meeting in the morning and YMPO meeting in the afternoon. So busy week.
Busy week.
Yeah.
I'll be there with Matthias.
Very good, very good. Also, I want to say also that the work on the port of entry, the money that's needed for the supposedly $90 million that were needed, it appears now it's going to be over $100 million more dollars that we need for Port of Entry 1.
100 more or 100?
No, actually, instead of 90, it's going to be 100 million.
100 million, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Not 190.
No,
Okay,
that's not, no, that's just, It looks good. We have support from our local and also Arizona congressional delegation. And it appears we also, we'll see in a couple, like a week or two, that we actually have a lot of support from CBP, a lot of support from GSA, a lot of support from the federal government, from the presidential, from the executive branch. There seems to be a very good news coming our way in regards to the funding. And so we're hoping the next couple of weeks, I'll let everyone know regarding the proposed budget or proposed funding, the part that's needed for Port of Entry 2. I also like to report that on the Mexican side, they're working vigilantly in trying to work with the Avenida Morelos and Archibald Street regarding trying to fix that curve, that problem that's created in the evenings. They're working. Ned Bank still has not answered regarding the funding for the studies, but we should know like within 2 weeks the funding. So that's basically delaying. Actually last week I had a meeting with the different parties in regards to the situations in our ports and our borders. It appears that Douglas is getting support for the second port of entry. It appears that Nogales, they're making a lot of noise. They were when we were 7 years ago in regards to DeConcini, their port that needing funding. But everything is pointed in the direction of Port of Entry 1, the city of San Luis, Arizona, getting its total funding for that project. So we continue working together as a team, and also we have the support from the county, from the mayors, from the regional mayors, from Somerton, from Yuma, from Wilton, and we also have the support of our governor. So it's a big push, and we also have the support of the mayor of Nogales and Douglas. And so it really counts when all the mayors and everyone is working together and making sure that our ports get funding, because we need a better port. We need a better way of controlling traffic, and it is absolutely unnecessary for people to be waiting an hour, 2 or 3 hours to go into Mexico and coming back and having to wait the same amount of time. And while other ports have 16, 17, 24 lanes, we only have 7 on a good day, maybe. But the staffing is there. GSA, no. We have cooperation with CBP, and our Mexican counterparts are also doing their part. And hopefully the restrictions will be lifted soon. But the other thing that's going on, we're actually facilitating, we're helping the consulate, and I am very appreciative of Amanda Aguirre and her group. They're actually started vaccinating with the Johnson & Johnson, actually people who work in industry, like maquiladoras and different parts. They're actually doing vaccinations in our port of entry too, like they're doing in Tijuana. And I believe in that area, the U.S. has already vaccinated over 27,000 vaccinations have been given in the region of Tijuana. Right now, I believe there is 3,500 vaccinations of Johnson & Johnson allocated for this movement, and this will actually, if this goes well, we're going to continue providing vaccinations to our counterparts in Mexico, especially those who work in industry. And the more we get vaccinated, the more immunity we get, the better off everyone is in the region. So this is an example of how working as a region, even though we have that little fence that divides us, that's created a lot of chaos, we're still able to work with our counterparts and provide them with the necessary protection like we do. We're blessed, we're fortunate to have 3 vaccinations available for us. Some people don't. And so by giving them that option, it not only helps them, but it also helps us, everyone, be more healthy. So I'm really appreciative of the actions. I spoke to the consulate in Yuma from Mexico, and he's very appreciative, and they're doing their part. And on behalf of the city, we told them we support the program 100%. And we will continue providing any necessary assistance along with the county in regards to vaccinations. So busy week. Next busy, it's going to be really busy for the next couple of weeks. So anyone else?
I'll add, I was able to join the 38th annual NALEO conference this morning. Pretty interesting. There's a lot of information there as well. I think tomorrow we're gonna have president and vice president both speaking in the conference, and I think it's the first time that's happening, so looking forward to that. I was also reading the monthly report from all the department heads and just wanted to say thank you guys for all your hard work. The data is there, everything they're doing on a day-to-day basis. And a shout out to Parks and Recreation and their staff because they, like, as soon as we said we're back to being open, they've stepped it up and have a lot of things going on for our citizens and our kids and our youth. So thank you guys for your hard work.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mayor, if I may add two more
Please.
comments. I think I met with the mayor of Yuma last week, and I think Jenny confirmed it earlier. It looks like the binational bike ride is going to be back on in October. I mean, I heard it from the mayor of Yuma. So for everybody to start getting ready, want to get more participation, bring it back up. So hopefully it continues forward. And then it felt good yesterday. I sponsored a kickball team, and employees were there yesterday playing kickball already last night. Mr. Perez over there, his team did great last night. But it felt good to see everybody back at the park and having fun. I mean, it's way overdue, and being out there and getting back into the groove. It's the first week of it, but it felt good. The kids are happy running around, and so hopefully it stays this way and everybody stays safe. So thank you to the Parks and Rec for working hard and keeping those lights on late at night, and hopefully more people start attending the games. I think we're up to 10 teams for the kickball league already as of today, 10 teams. So we usually average 12, 13 teams, so that's not bad for.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. For those council members, I invite you to be part of the mayor's bicycle ride. It's only 14 miles. And it's good, it's healthy, and
This year?
so all mayors have already accepted the challenge. And so we're gonna invite council to let's ride our bikes, and this is not a race, even though it may appear to be a race when the mayors are a little competitive. But no, it's not a race. It's a way. It's a way.
October.
October.
And I don't think it's competitive. I think that's more out of respect that we let the mayors get ahead of us, so they can get across the finish line first. So.
Thank you for making me feel good. Right, us. But I invite everyone. Okay. We also have our PD is involved, CBP is involved, Border Patrol is involved. Our paramedics are there. Actually, and so everyone's involved in both sides. I mean, we have sometimes I believe we have the sheriff department is also involved, but the city of Yuma is also involved. But the big group is the city of San Luis, and we provide restrooms and we provide a lot of the amenities. And but it's a great event, and I invite everyone. And it's really good, and we control traffic very good. So we have not had any accidents. We've been very fortunate. But we will continue doing it, and I invite everyone. And thank you. That's all I want to say. Anyone else?
Yeah, Mayor, I've been attending a series of community events. As you know, I've been assisting Pastor Castro on his despensas,
Claro.
Very often. And then also I've been attending Campesinos Sin Fronteras events. And also, I've been very active on the senior center activities. Okay.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember. If not anymore, I will now go ahead and let's see here. Call to the public. This is time for the public to comment. Members of the City Council may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, present to ARS 38-431.01H, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and discussion at a later date. Call to the public. I believe we have how many people signed up?
2 people, Mayor.
Okay.
The first one is Gary Snyder.
Okay, please, Mr. Gary.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council members.
I want to first say congratulations for the 4th of July. It's great to have it open for the community. It's awesome to have the 4th of July here. I'm going to have to wait a few minutes or pass because I'm waiting for a legal document to go by and I haven't received it yet. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Can I have the next speaker?
Adam Saldaña.
Is he here? What was the name again? Repeat the name again.
Adam Saldaña.
It appears he left. Okay, I will now entertain a motion to executive session.
Mayor, we just received another
Oh, one more?
speaker request. Guillermina Fuentes.
Guillermina?
Guillermina Fuentes, 1630 North 9th Avenue. I just wanted to approach you to congratulate you for the work you are doing for this community. It doesn't matter how hard you guys work, you still will be criticized, but I don't want you to feel bad because there are evil people outside that will come and criticize you. But I just want to say that at least you're paid. And as board members, they don't pay us. For that people that doesn't believe that we don't get paid, we don't get paid to receive all the garbage that we receive. But I just want to tell you that don't feel frustrated. People choose you to represent them because they believe on you. And don't you ever forget that. People wanted you to represent them. It doesn't matter what 2 or 3 or 4 toxic people said or talks about you. Just remember that. Don't forget that. If you're there, it's because we choose you to represent us, because we believe in you. So keep working as hard as you can so you don't leave the citizens down. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now entertain a motion to executive session.
So move.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor. There's a second. All is in favor?
Aye.
All is against? Motion carries. Thank you. Have a good night.
Puedo cerrar, puedo cerrar.
¿Tiene persona o vas a comer?
Perdón.
A ver, ¿qué es?